Hello, welcome back. Full house this week. What's going on? You're back.
Yes.
Oh, don't be doing this again. Don't get that voice away from me.
No.
Well, at least you're back. At least we can hear you this week. Explain to the people what happened.
What happened was I stupidly saved the file and it was corrupted.
Classic.
That's what happened.
You're as corrupt as Gaddafi there.
I know.
Madness.
Up Libya.
So how was your week? Any crack this week?
Yeah, it was grand.
Yeah. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I had a life experience today. This morning.
What happened to you?
I came home from work, right? So I finished work at 6. And my mother wanted a parasol in Lidl. So I was like, she was kind of hinting at me for a couple of days, being like, well, like, Lidl opens at 8 and you finish work at 6, you know.
Go on, you good thing. You'll go in for me, won't you?
Yeah. So there's me sitting in the car park of Lidl at 5 to 7, right? Place isn't open for an hour now, but mind you, it's me and 4 staff cars, right? And I'm the only one there. And out of nowhere, this fella comes flying in, and he hops out of the car like he was about to run a marathon. Hops out of the car, 2 travel mugs, not 1, 2 travel mugs. Like this man was stocking up. He was ready for his hour. He was ready for this queue, right? He runs over, grabs the trolley, and is standing there with his 2 travel mugs, and he's up like covered with like a snood, a hat, everything, gloves, the works, right? And they come out. I was in the car the whole time, and I just like, oh here, fuck that, I'm not getting in the queue. I'm not standing there for ages. So it was like I was 6th in the queue, right? Which was grand. I was the first one there, but I was 6th in the queue. But I was like, oh,
First one there, but 6th in the
honest
queue.
to God, like the place opens at 8, and if you're there at 20 past 7, you're late.
You're late.
Yeah. But it's like the Purge, right? You walk in, and the place.
Purge.
Do you know in Bruce Almighty when he's in that white room and it's just pure light?
White room.
That's what walking into Lidl at 8 o'clock in the morning looks like. I'm telling you.
That doesn't sound too nice, to tell you the truth.
It was like they were only short of having a little like choir playing, like as everybody walked in, and it was fucking anarchy. It was like Armageddon. You'd swear
Armageddon.
Absolute fiends for deck chairs is what they are. Right? They were selling all these garden stuff, so they had like these big loungers and stuff, and they were like junkies going for a fix. Oh, flying in. And this fella bombing it down the aisle, right? He was like Rob Heffernan, power walking down the aisle, right? Boom, away he goes. And next minute, I looked over. He wasn't even looking, but he threw his hands into the bakery and knew exactly where shit was. I was like, this man, he's done the 8 a.m. Lidl before.
He's experienced.
It's a sight to behold. If you ever get the chance, go to Lidl at 8 o'clock in the morning. Go on a Thursday.
It's like a 13-year-old horse, like, or something. Like, this fella has experience. This fella knows how to jump fences. Yeah, and he falls.
He knows where the goals are. He doesn't even have to look.
No,
that fella was flying, and he knew exactly where he was going. He was in and out in about 30 seconds, and he had a trolley full. I was like, well, do you know what? Fair play to you, lad. I'm proud of you.
I'd like to give a question out to people who are going to be listening to this. Did anyone else back freewheeling Dylan?
Oh, shut up.
Like one of us did, and I'm not going to say who, but this fella would be the more, he'd be the more clever of the two, I'll just say.
Fuck off.
And he backed it, and I just want to know, did anyone else get a few pound out of it?
Let us know. I had enjoyed Dallin, so had him each way, so I was up money.
You're up some money.
Who have you got in the Masters this week?
The Masters, the golf.
Just bear in mind now, hang on, this is being recorded on Thursday. It hasn't started yet.
I would think that Rory McIlroy at 16-1 is not a bad shot.
It's a great each way shout.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
My money is going on John Ram.
John Ram is not a bad
shot
either.
Because, as Paul Carrington would call it, he has the nappy factor. His wife had a baby last week. So, Harrington says that. He says, the first tournament after a golfer becomes a father. Boom. Jeez. And it's proved, like Bubba Watson did a couple of years ago. Who else did it? A couple of them, it's becoming a little trend, and John Ram's a fantastic golfer. So, my money's on the nappy factor.
Here's a good one for you there now. The fact that you can bet each way. So that's what placings for the Masters.
Top 10.
Top 10.
Paddy Power giving it a top 10, I think.
That's not bad at all. Like John Ram is a good shout. I think
I have a couple of bets. I've Xander Schauffele as well. No,
Xander Schauffele.
Just because his name it's the coolest name ever.
I'm actually looking at this now. I actually want to have a look here. Tell you, you can give your top 3, lad.
Right.
But Rory McIlroy, I think at 16-1 is not the worst shout.
It's a good shout.
It's
a good each way bet.
Brooks Koepka 25-1.
Yeah, that's outrageously high.
It's ridiculous. Lee Westwood as well. Lee Westwood is surely due like a good run. Like he's come close before. Another one actually. I think he's English as well, and he's never had a bad run at the Masters. Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah, I bet on him every year, and every major I bet on him. Just throw an each way bet on him. He's always worth it. Like
he's not bad at all. And then look at this. You might be tempted here to throw your money on these two, Sergio Garcia and Bubba Watson. What do you think their odds are?
I'd say somewhere up near 50. Are they?
Yeah, I think that's incredible because Sergio Garcia hasn't played badly in the last couple of months. He's at 50-1, and Bubba Watson, who's won it before, is at 66-1.
I have Paddy Power open here, and I can see Justin Rose is 80-1.
80-1, along with 80-1. Shane Lowry 80-1. Francesco
Phil
Molinari,
Mickelson 100-1.
Yeah, 100-1.
I know he's not what he used to be, but no. Jesus, 100-1.
But there's some good ones there, like Francesco Molinari. Like he's never
Henrik
bad.
Stenson 200-1. I'm very tempted to throw a euro on that.
Stenson's he's always like, he's always thereabouts. Like, a lot of these mustn't be fancy to make the cut tomorrow night. Like definitely like Stuart Sink 400-1.
Ian Woosnam 2,000-1.
Jesus Christ. Jose Maria Olazabal or whatever his name
Jose Mourinho's 4-1.
4-1. But like 2,500-1, like you could get like you wouldn't know what the mass.
And an each way bet.
An each way bet is not bad, like. But like I definitely think like you could have someone leading on the Saturday night and see it's all like there's been people who've led on the Saturday night. I'm thinking back to Rory McIlroy's complete and utter
meltdown.
Obliteration on the Sunday when he went into the back nine and he was in the lead and he hit a few bogeys and double bogeys and just fucked his chances basically. Like there's even like a bet there, like Shane Lowry. Like
he's about 60-1, I'd say, is he?
He's 80-1. Like that's not a bad shout. Like
Patrick Cantley. That it's tempting. It is very tempting, purely because of how well he's played lately.
Yeah, like there's a couple there, a couple of the bigger men, like the bigger odds there, and there's a couple of lads there who've finished in the top 10, top 5 a couple of times. Like you think of Stuart Sink there, Francesco Molinari, all these boys. I think Francesco Molinari won it.
He did.
Or no, was that the Open?
No, he won the Open.
The Open. Like I've always liked him.
Remember Danny Willett won the Masters? What was that about?
Danny Willett is huge odds.
Yeah.
He's huge odds. Like Shane Lowry. Like Shane Lowry's not bad.
Right, so who's your 3 to watch this week for the Masters?
I'm going to go with a real Irish kind of theme to it, which I think is only right. And I think it's about time we had like, a few Irish players be up thereabouts, I think Rory McIlroy, surely this year could be his year. I think Lee Westwood is another one. And I think keep an eye on Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry's made the cut the last couple of years on the Friday. So like maybe, a top 10 mightn't be too far.
Yeah.
Too far away from him. But they'd be the two. Brooks Koepka, of course, like surely to God. Like he was favourite last year, I think, to win it. And just didn't happen.
I think
so I don't know.
For me, apart from the obvious, like everybody's going to be looking at like a DJ and a Rory and DeChambeau and everything. Paul Casey, keep an eye on him this weekend.
Paul Casey's never a bad shot. Yeah. He's never a bad shot.
Yeah, especially in the Masters. Augusta really suits his game.
It does. Like he's never too far away. Like you're dead right. I'll be watching it. I love watching the Masters. The Masters is incredible. it's one of my favourite like sporting events. Definitely.
I would say
definitely one of my favourites.
Paul Casey, Tommy Fleetwood, and I'll go with an outsider of some way. Do you know what? We'll go to Cooch, Matt Kuchar.
Yeah, he's big odds as well.
Yeah,
and he's a consistent. He's consistent, so he is. Like, it's mad. I think it's mad. I think the odds are like. The odds are a bit crazy with some of them. Like, and you could get very good value for money. Like, if you back, you know, one of the lower end buys, like, you know, €1 or €2 on it, you could come out with a very healthy bit of winnings, you know. Yeah. But I think Rory surely, like a top 5, like, at least. Yeah. A top 5 is the minimum.
Each way bet. Great way to go.
Yeah, Shane Lowry. I think if you're looking for the Irish, they're the two. Yeah. Shane Lowry, I'd buy. If you're only putting a bet on one, Shane Lowry would be where I'd put my money. You know, as in each way. There's always a big performance in him, and sure, who wouldn't love to see a green jacket going down to Clara and Offaly?
I should look. It matches Clara Jug.
Exactly. Put it over it to hide it. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
But definitely, no. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it all weekend. I'll be glued to it.
We've a good weekend of sport ahead of us.
We definitely do. Yeah, we've
and United Granada tonight.
United Granada, Arsenal, Slavia. We've the Premier League darts are on all week. We have the rugby, the Heineken Cup. Leinster have a huge game against Exeter Chiefs, the reigning champions. Hopefully, Leinster can do it and, you know, push for another final. For all that, then you've United Tottenham on Sunday. Like, you've loads of sport. But I think the Masters takes hold on, you know, everything.
Like, there's something magic about it, isn't there?
It's great. It's brilliant. Amen corner, the 16th. I love the 16th hole. The 16th hole at the Masters.
I'd love to just play one hole at Augusta. Just one.
Oh yeah, the 16th for me.
But like, I wouldn't be fussy.
Oh no,
any of them really,
I take whatever. Like, I think the 16th hole, some of the greatest ever moments. 12 as well.
11 is a lovely hole as well.
11, there's loads.
11, 12, 13. Pretty much.
I think 13.
The back
13
nine.
13 is where it all went wrong for Rory that year.
And Speed.
I remember him. He put it in the water.
12 is where it Speed meltdown.
Like, there's been so, like, it's just known for either, you know,
if you're in
really
contention on the Sunday, Amen corner is where it's won or lost.
Amen corner, yeah. Like, you can be doing well, you could be par coming round, you know, to the back nine, and then it could just all go wrong. Like, it really depends. Yeah. Like, it depends on where your luck is. And if your luck ain't in,
that's where they start making their moves from as well. Like,
exactly. Like, I don't know. I just think, I don't know. Surely it could be an Irish year, like, and it'd be great with Aintree as well this week with the Grand National on Saturday, which I forgot about as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's big. It's a big weekend for the Irish with Leinster, with, you know, the two boys that are being contention in the Masters, and for, like, you know, for the horses at Aintree. Hopefully we get one over the English again. You know, drive them nuts. They were going nutty over Cheltenham. Ireland completely obliterated them at Cheltenham, so hopefully another weekend of that. That'll be nice.
I have to say the Paddy Power ad for Cheltenham with Peter Crouch is class.
It's brilliant.
Not wanted for breeding. And his face.
No. But this week on the show, Dan, what do we have?
This week we are chatting with a good friend, Eoghan, chatting about the life of a teacher, how teaching has changed with COVID. Like, do teachers deserve a vaccine if they're on Zoom? You know, that kind of crack. Yeah, it was good to chat with him. Interesting stuff, like stuff you wouldn't think about. Like, he was talking about teams and like how psychologically teaching is a lot more developed than it probably was a couple of years ago. And yeah, it's just a good insight, because I feel like teachers get a lot of slagging and get a lot of stick. Sometimes deservedly.
Sometimes, yeah. But sometimes I agree with you.
Look, they do a job like everybody else.
They do indeed. Yeah. They do indeed.
It's not an easy job.
It was a great chat.
It's not an easy job by any means.
I think it's one of the hardest jobs you could possibly do.
I couldn't keep the attention of 38-year-olds.
I can't keep the attention of Dan for more than 10 minutes. So, you know, like, never mind never mind doing that. Like, but great guy and a great
insight. Well, I obviously couldn't keep your attention last week. It was just me on my own in the intro. So.
Yeah, I just to be honest, I
think you're messing. It was a good intro as well because like I stitched you up lovely. I got you back.
I think you stitched me up lovely anyway.
Absolutely lovely. And what happens? Yeah, no file. I'd fucking say so.
It was like, no, ain't having that, I'm afraid.
There'll be a brick going through that window behind you now in a minute. Now I'm not coming flying in. I'm going to rip that file out of the computer.
But yeah, no, lovely interview with Eoghan. And yeah, we get to it,
Yeah, we will. Right, first up, a bit of news.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The headlines this week. Seagull can't wait for outdoor dining. Cotton bud disaster. Arlene Foster comes out as non-binary. An Israeli apology. We spoke to a local Dublin pigeon this week who said he's absolutely ecstatic for outdoor dining to return. He's mad hungry.
My.
Cotton bud disaster. Man inserts a cotton bud too far into his ear and accidentally resets himself to factory settings.
Hello, Moto.
In politics news this week, Arlene Foster has come out as non-binary. Let's talk to her now and find out why.
Hey, I'm Arlene Foster. It's them real bakers in Sinn Féin. They're the cause of this non-binary problem.
In international news this week, we spoke to the Israeli Prime Minister about a misunderstanding the phrase Free Palestine.
Free Palestine? Yossi said I could take it, so we took it at Ben Yanoun yesterday. I don't see the issue.
My girlfriend told me to stop acting like a flamingo. That's when I had to put the foot down. Right, joining us now we have Eoghan Monaghan. Just going to talk about teaching, talk about how COVID has changed the classroom, changed the layout of your lessons, and basically just how it's progressed into this kind of new profession in a way. So how are you doing? How are you getting on?
I'm good, yeah. I'm not so bad. Thanks for having me on. It's very interesting to get involved in something like this. Yeah,
that's what everybody's been saying.
A Zoom podcast.
Yeah, it's fantastic. 2021 madness.
It's just brilliant.
I know. Isn't it just great?
So, having worked in schools, am I right in saying you've worked in a school prior to COVID? Yeah.
I have, placement, and I've done a bit of subbing too.
Yeah, and obviously you were kind of relatively out of work then for a while because of COVID, but I don't want to say out of work, like obviously you're doing stuff behind the scenes and stuff, but it's not the same. It's not what you signed up for, basically.
No, not necessarily.
Like, how do you feel it?
Yeah, so like I've done my placement in like schools as they would be normally, in like my third year of practicing and things like that, and the differences are minimal in ways in the junior classes. So junior classes would be from junior infants to second. So, and I'd say especially juniors and seniors, specifically as in like junior infants and senior infants, you can't physically keep them away from each other to an extent. Do you know what I mean?
It's like a petting zoo.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And like the smallest classes, so juniors and senior infants, the infant classes, I should say, their whole curriculum of learning is based on this ASHTA framework, which is learning through play. So we call it play as such when we're discussing it in the context of teaching. And you pick a theme weekly. Sometimes the theme might go on for more than a week though. And you set up these PlayStations within not PlayStations now. We're not talking game consoles. Imagine that.
What's your homework to beat someone there on FIFA?
Yeah, me just walking in. Right, lads, hop on the Xboxes there and shut up.
Who's going for a drive on GTA, lads? Come on.
But yeah, like I'll give you an example. So a lot of people, a nice one to do on placement, let's say, would be the post office. Because you can, like, let's say, set up one station where they would be stamping envelopes or even just putting things in an envelope, folding it up and like pretending there's somebody in the post office or pretending there's somebody coming in. And that approach to learning for children is what's encouraged in like every aspect of early stage development. So you can't not do it, if that makes sense. So for the younger kids, it's kind of just hand sanitizing, being maybe a little bit more conscious of sharing things. Like you can't be taking pencils from people that aren't in your pod, and like a pod might have 6 kids in it. So if you have a class of whatever, maybe 24 students, you'll have 4 pods, and we'll try our best to keep it within the pods. But when they're outside, let them at it. Do you know what I mean? The social aspect of learning is more important than anything else. So you kind of have to give a bit of leeway with the younger ones, you know?
Exactly. And I've noticed now with my sister, who is in the same year as your brother. I think I'm right saying, yeah. I am. I'm awful with ages and what class.
Oh, you would be though.
Because there's just that many differences. But I've noticed with that age group, I find like they're starting over the whole homeschooling thing, and like now fair play to her teacher. Now she was out and she was doing a Zoom call every week, and she had the material there for us as well. Like, but like I felt like I was kind of experiencing what it's like to be a teacher. Obviously, I'm not saying I'd be a good teacher or I'm a bad teacher or whatever.
Be excellent.
Yeah. I think I need to get a pair of glasses like Owen, but
you have
the full teacher look there, I'm telling you. But I found it very difficult to keep the attention. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't the actual like physical aspect of this is this kind of teaching. Yeah. You know, it's keeping the attention there. Do you know? And
100%.
How do you find that? Like especially with this.
You're touching on something. You're touching on something that's a massive issue for teachers that have to teach over like Zoom or any sort of online forum. Like when you are teaching, and especially as a practicing teacher like I am in college, the focus is making lessons relevant and stimulating for children. So that, like, you would hope that, let's say you pick a theme, like I've said, like if you can teach thematically for, let's say, a month. I'm trying to think of something that, if I was to start off in September with a class, which I've done before, I pick the theme of back to school. Do you know what I mean? And everything I do for the next like couple of weeks will just be centered around back to school, and the kids won't feel like they're doing maths, English, Irish, history. Do you know what I mean? It'll be
subconsciously it's getting them in the framework again.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. And then like so on, like let's say after that you might do you might pick autumn or something along those lines, you know, like just before you get into the winter months, and autumn will be your theme then for the next 4 weeks, where you'd look at, like, you'd be touching on science, geography when you talk about the weather and the changes and things like that. Irish then is just vocab and stuff, but like to make it interesting, you kind of avoid specifically outlining what they might be learning, although you have to be sure you know what you want the kids to get out of it, so don't get too wishy-washy with it. But like having a theme in general, it stimulates their interest a bit more, and like it gets them more involved. So when they're at home, it's very hard to communicate that over Zoom.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. You know? Like what you're saying there about keeping stimulated is, like, I remember in primary school, I remember the times when the teacher would be like, right, we're going outside to collect leaves. And I was like, oh yeah. This is grand. This is handy enough. Like, now you don't even realize you're learning, like, you know.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Like I know that's why leaves fall off trees now, because it's the autumn, and you know all of that it leads on to other stuff.
And like you remember it as well. Do you know what I mean? Like that's something straight away you think of.
Like I've never used Pythagoras' theorem since I left secondary school, but I still know it. Like
no, exactly.
I still know, by God, by h squared equals x squared plus y squared. I'll never forget that.
There you go. You know, there you go. And it's like even something like Pythagoras' theorem, you can see how it is going to be used and things like that. It's all about keeping it relevant to kids. So like teaching over Zoom, which I've done, I did it for the month of January there before I went back to college, and I was with a young enough class. I was with first class, and like that, I couldn't start a team with them as such because it's something you really have to do in class. Like you want your displays on the wall, you want like everything around them to be relevant to what they're currently doing, and also it's very hard to keep a dialogue with children constantly like over Zoom. Do you know what I mean? You can meet with them for an hour or so every morning, which is really it should be done, but like it's hard for parents. Like there's two things that are quite difficult when you're teaching over Zoom. It's making sure you're not giving too much work to children or too much work to parents. And also not giving enough can also be kind of
it's
like you'd be worried you're not giving enough for them to do then, and enough to keep the kids occupied and enough for the parents to deal with. So that's definitely difficult. Like
I'd imagine so. And I'd say trying to figure out what's the priority as well, I'd say is a
absolutely,
because you're not going to be able to give them English, Irish, maths, science, history, geography, art, music. You can't give them all into one time. Like, you have to kind of spread it out, and you have to decide, well, it's Friday, realistically. If I give them work on a Friday, the kids are going to be like, no, I'm doing 20 minutes of this. Exactly. They're not going to
do lost them then, like they're not your friend anymore.
I'd say Tuesday be the day to give them the hefty work, because Monday they're still settling back in. Tuesday they're like, oh, right, here we go. And Tuesday, Wednesday you get your work.
You know what, Dan? You're not wrong. Like they're in if you want the technical term, they're in the perfect zone of proximal development. Once they get into Tuesday and Wednesday, it's like they've eased themselves into it.
That was shocking fancy wordplay. That was.
Oh, my lecturers.
You'd know you're a teacher, lad. You'd know you're a teacher, lad.
My lecturers were watching this, lad. They'd be delighted with themselves. Tuesday, Wednesday is when like you can get into kind of, we call it heavy stuff, but like just the stuff that might bore them ever so slightly, and then you go Thursday, Friday is
winding up for the weekend.
Exactly.
And just what you're saying about college, like how did you find the whole aspect of studying teaching in college? Because it seems to me that anyone who studies studies teaching in college, it's like a cult. Do you know, every teacher seems to know every teacher, especially in Dublin. I've noticed like every teacher knows every teacher, but nobody else likes the teacher studying. If you get me, like nobody like, if you don't study teaching, you don't like the people who are studying teaching, but you do in the same way. Do you know what I mean? It's just that has that bit of banter between it.
We're very like, you see, I always find this, like I'm in St. Pat's up in Drumcondra, so it's part of DCU, and like it's almost a secondary school vibe. You know, like it's
I've seen the place
460 in your year, like, and you don't really veer out of that. Do you know what I mean? Like you just like you stay within that group because you have enough people to kind of to mix with, that you don't go looking elsewhere or going to societies or anything. You kind of just stay in that little bubble, which is bad in a way, but you can
your course is your society kind of thing.
Yeah, literally. That's exactly it. And so like in terms of college online, I suppose, like our course is very practical. Well, it should be. It should hands-on, be like we should be kind of hands-on. In a lecture, well, a small lecture, let's say with maybe 30 people, like we would be doing the activities that kids would be doing themselves, just to get a real life experience of it. And you just can't do that over Zoom.
Yeah, that's true. And just highlighting what's been going on all week, you might have been waiting for this question, but should teachers be vaccinated earlier than everybody else? Where do you start? What's going on? I don't get it. I think it goes by age. Especially like, you hardly need a vaccine. You're sitting there on Zoom.
Dan, what are you doing to me, lad? I need my vaccination. Stop this. If I was to give a genuine answer, like you think about the amount of people we're in contact with in a day.
I see both. I see both sides of it. But sure, why not vaccinate the kids then when you're at it?
I would agree with the teachers. The teachers, like I think the teachers should be vaccinated. I think we said this, was it a week or two ago, Dan? And I think I made the point that like,
well, there you go. The
frontline workers
were listening to us, and look what's happening. We're trendsetters, lad.
T-shirts. I was going to say, teachers, shopkeepers, delivery men, nurses, doctors. They should all be priority. And then, like, the vulnerable should be put into that category, obviously, as well. Like, I think people with like illnesses like cystic fibrosis, stuff like that, should be vaccinated first. People that are old and more, like they could die, we'll say, should be getting it.
Susceptible, I suppose.
Like anyone could die at any time.
Anyone could die. Like, I could get hit by a bus, So
Here, I could die just as easily. Give me the vaccine. What's with that?
There you go. You put the foot down now. Micheál Martin.
I could walk straight out onto that road and I'd be dead. Give me the vaccine.
I know Micheál Martin's listening to this. He's going to be straight on the phone to you now. That man's a teacher. He needs a vaccine.
But I think so. I think But the funny thing is, like, you look at the man in charge, and it's kind of ironic that the teachers are complaining. The man was principal of a school in Cork before he became a TD. It's just hilarious how they're getting.
If I'm thinking about principals becoming running countries, you're in St. Pat's.
If you think back to your experience with principals, Daniel, you wouldn't be too
Lord.
happy.
No, none of the country would be happy. You all know him. He's on the Sunday game. I'm not going to name names.
But I think,
it rhymes with Rollam Cork.
You look at him like,
oh Jesus!
But you look at him like he kind of has a similar kind of henchman look that Micheál Martin has, like big boiler suit, like prick.
There's not a mad difference in like, I don't know what the word is, persona or something, or like the kind of
they carry themselves the same
stuck
way.
With. Yeah, like when you're a teacher, you're putting on a show for 6 hours a day. Do you know what I mean?
Performance, it's a performance.
Like, the Taoiseach doesn't do much else. Like, he's sitting up there putting on this show for everyone, getting everyone's kind of faith in him.
Basically, what you're saying is Micheál Martin as Taoiseach is a glorified teacher.
He might be.
He's a qualified one at that, like.
Well, yeah.
And he was
do you know what? He actually technically might be a glorified teacher. If we want to be technical.
Like, I find it very ironic that like a fella that's like his past profession was teaching is fucking over his past profession.
I wonder. I don't think you'd find a teacher that. Like, well, okay, this is maybe a silly statement to make, but I was going to say, like, you wouldn't find a teacher that would say we don't need it, or could even think of a reason that would make sense not to give us the vaccine. Do you know what I mean? Oh, yeah, I do. I get what you're saying, though, Dan. Is like, if you give it to the teachers, like, vaccinate the kids, then like I can see where you're coming from in that respect, but for us, it's we are in quite close contact. With some children, like we wear masks and constantly for the most part, and then if there's like, let's say, children with special education needs who themselves might be slightly vulnerable. Now you'd assume they wouldn't be in school if they were too bad, but let's say like a child does need kind of specific attention, like the teacher does have to go down to them, see how they're getting on. The mask would be on and everything, but like we are actually putting ourselves at risk getting that close to that many people in a day. You know what I mean? So I think it'd make sense, but again, not a doctor.
Sure. Look, none of us are. Brezzy is though.
No, none of us are.
Brezzy's a doctor.
Brezzy knows everything.
Brezzy told us he's a doctor. He's probably a teacher as well.
Oh, I tell you, yeah, probably.
He strikes that vibe. He played football for Westmead. Played rugby. Yeah, he's definitely a teacher.
He's a football. He's a guy heading him. Yeah, no, yeah. He's a born and bred teacher.
He was the fella walking around Pat's in his skinny O'Neill's tracksuits, driving his Golf with his gear bag, and the DCU half zip.
Yeah, have to have a DCU half zip. Yeah, you have to have a sick fade as well, lad.
Oh, but yeah, like, the fade is hot.
Oh yeah.
Slightly too long on top, and the fade. Yeah,
I was just about to say it has to be slightly too long on top, skinned at the sides,
and no socks.
Yeah, that's them.
Maybe
a hurl in your hand.
The odd time, yeah, on a Tuesday when you're training.
Yeah. Like bring it into the lecture, like you have to.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So like, 100%. How would you focus without the hurl and the slip?
Exactly. Sure. Sure, you have your pen tattoo. You have your pen like stuck onto the hurl at the end of it, like, you know.
Yeah. When he's writing,
He's writing. It's
hurls
just a
appear.
hurl in the air. Anyway,
that's the way it goes. Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for coming on, talking to us about teaching, the life of a teacher. Stop giving teachers hate, folks. They're lovely.
Yeah,
they're
leave us
humans
alone.
too. They're humans too.
We are humans too. I know
Especially
you've
the
seen
young
enough
ones.
of us now at this stage, like up to your life,
sure.
but just because you're an adult doesn't mean you can tell us to fuck off.
Does that mean I have to call you sir still?
Yeah, you do.
Oh.
You do, young Vatican.
It's like Sir Monaghan. Like, I think Lord Monaghan would sound better. You know, like you're the
Lord
High King of
Monaghan.
Monaghan. You know.
Yeah.
That's actually something I'll say before I go.
You were
now.
looking
It's
into
not necessarily, no, we won't get into it too much. But like that whole aspect of like deformalizing like teachers and that, like Mr. Monaghan, is a bit too much. Now you see it in like you see it in the Educate Together schools and some like community primary schools. They've just got rid of that Mr., Miss, Mrs. and it's just either teacher own or Moontor own or so forth, which is a great development. I think that's a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
But that's something for another day.
It's like I noticed on the RTE, the school hub or whatever it was called. They had Moonshore Array, and it's not like missed or something or misses something. Yeah,
exactly.
That's something to look into, like, as well. Like, I think deformalizing it, especially in primary school. You know,
I think so too.
Secondary school, kind of, it commands a bit of respect. You know.
Yeah, I can see the development. Like if you're going into secondary school, like after that, you're going into maybe a profession or like a workplace or something.
Yeah.
The formalities should increase. But
Exactly,
primary school, 100%, it shouldn't be so intense.
It kind of makes it a bit more friendly for them and everything. Anyway, I'm conscious you have lectures to attend.
I do. But I was almost going to say
soon
nothing.
you'll be teaching them. Soon you'll be teaching them.
I know.
Anyway, cheers. Thanks a million for coming on. Really enjoyed that.
No worries.
So yeah. Check out
I'll
Eoghan.
talk to you again.
Who
Thanks
knows?
for having
You could
me.
be teaching your kids in the future. Who knows?
I could be.
It could be.
Go luck, lads. Thanks a million.
Cheers. Thanks, Eoghan. Thanks a million.